Hello, I'm Sean with Sodium Dental. Today we're going to be upgrading our in-house demonstration setup for 3D printing. This is something I use pretty much every single day. This was my old wash station, the Anycubic model, but it's a little tedious and no longer getting things done as efficiently as it could be. And the shiny new FabWash is amazing and connects to the printer directly. So I want to install that here. And this is Shining's original Fabcure for the curing process. What I'm looking to do is replace that with the new Fabcure 2. So we're going to get started. One of the first things I have to do is, since I'm keeping my L4D unit, the original L4D shipped with the stainless steel build plate. So I'll be taking that off, and we're going to be replacing it with the new ceramic build plate that's necessary for using the new FabWash station with its auto cut feature. Now I have a resin tank in here that actually has some resin left in it, so I need to take that off and set it aside on a clean surface so as to not damage the film on the underside. Now we've got the new AccuFab build plate here. It's a ceramic build plate. And I'm going to bring you in for a close-up of this so I can point out the differences from the old build plate. Now here is the old build plate, stainless steel, very sturdy. It's done me well. I've printed probably 1 million layers on this stainless steel build plate. It was easy to clean and it's a good unit, but you can see the stainless steel is starting to get a lot of scratches on the surface. The new FabWash, where it automatically will cut the prints from the surface, needs a better surface to work with. So I'll be keeping this build plate for future uses where I might need it, but I'm going to replace it with this. This is the new ceramic build plate. You can see that we have a stainless steel structure with adjustable leveling screws, but the surface is a smooth and hard ceramic coating. This is very important for a surface that's going to have an automatic cutting blade applied to it over and over again to remove models from it in the FabWash unit. So let's get this installed and see how it works. So we're going to level our brand new ceramic build plate. The tools we're going to need for this are pretty simple. You have an Allen wrench that was included with your build plate kit for loosening these horizontal insert side leveling screws. There's 4 of them. So simply insert your Allen wrench into the horizontally facing screws and start loosening. You do not want to remove the screws entirely, just loosen them all enough so that the build plate can move freely. Now you always want to test that it can move freely by just simply grabbing onto the build plate and moving it up and down. Just make sure it can move easily and freely. That way, when it comes down to do auto leveling, it doesn't stop at the wrong point simply because the build plate itself got stuck against friction on the screws. Let's start by pressing the gear icon here. Then we're going to hit hardware settings. Now motor settings. And it's going to give you a little warning message, making sure you did all the things we already recommended for you to do, such as remove any existing resin tank sitting on your printer, because it's going to lower that build platform all the way down to these 2 sheets of paper I've put on. The reason why I'm using 2 sheets of paper is because that's about the thickness of the clear film on the bottom of your resin tank. So that's going to serve as that purpose for leveling this. So now I want to hit the button set 0 position. Once I've done that, you'll see that the platform will come down pretty quickly. When it gets really close to the bottom, you'll see it starts moving very slowly to do the last 100 millimeters or so. Sorry, 10 millimeters or so. The new printers actually come with a couple of sheets of paper that are a very particular thickness for doing this process. But my old unit, we just always used 2 pieces of about 24-pound printer paper. And I've never had an issue with leveling. Now that it's at the bottom, I'm going to grab the corners of my paper and I'm going to try and move them around a little bit. What I want there to be is tension when I try and move them. I want to know that the build plate is pressing down with some resistance. I should be able to move them relatively easily, but they shouldn't just slip around. So now before we press any other buttons, you want to tighten all of the leveling screws. Now, while tightening these screws, be careful. Don't jostle anything around, because right now everything's kind of almost floating in this position. Once we've tightened all the screws, we can then pull on the piece of paper, make sure everything's still tight, that we didn't accidentally move the platform up or down. And then we can click OK on the bottom of the printer. Now just come down and right there, that highlighted button, you're going to press that when all your screws are tightened and you're ready. And you'll see it starts raising up. And what you've done is you've both set the 0 position for the motors where it knows what the absolute bottom start position is. But by doing the loosening of the screws and moving the plate around, we've also perfectly leveled the build plate. I'd recommend that you do this maybe once a month. Now, first we're going to unbox our FabWash here. On the side of the Shining box, there will be a label with a serial number on it. I always recommend taking a picture of this and keeping it for your records. This is the serial number of your FabWash. Here's your FabWash Quick Start Guide. And your Quick Start Guide will have a product overview of everything you should find in the container. We're going to find the printer itself, a power adapter, power cable, quality certificate, which I set aside, an interfill tray, a D1S ceramic platform, and this Quick Start Guide. And in here, it's going to have instructions on how to install your FabWash, which we're going to go over today. Let's carefully unpack the components and set them aside. Now you'll notice your FabWash comes in a very thick bag. The benefit of this very thick bag is it can help you get the unit out of the box. Take 2 good handholds, lift, and if you have a second person, that's always helpful. If not, lift and set onto your countertop. I recommend keeping all the original packing material, putting it back in the FabWash box and storing that box away if you have space for it, just in case you ever need to send the unit back for manufacturer warranty repairs. Okay, we have our FabWash here, still in some plastic. The top piece of tape, I'm gonna just peel away. These binding tapes, what you're gonna wanna do, pull them out and away, and just give them a little slice to release their tension. This piece of plastic I'm just going to throw away. I can always find another piece of plastic if I'm going to need to ship this back later. Now let's look and see what we have inside. We're going to open the top first. Pull out this piece of packing styrofoam for shipping protection. You're going to want to store this back away in your box so you have it later. If you ever need to ship this back, you're going to want to slip this back inside. Keep everything protected. After removing the foam insert, you'll notice when you look down inside, there's still another piece of safety packing tape for shipping. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife. A pair of scissors would probably be also good to just slit the tape and unwrap it. So make sure this piece of packing tape comes off of the cage. Okay, now that we have removed the styrofoam and we have removed the safety tape, go ahead, close our lid. And you want to find the emergency stop. If it's pressed in like that, it's stopped and the cage will not move up. You can see the arrows on it. Turn to the right and it'll release. And you'll see it comes out. And now it can go in and out. You want it to be in the out position. We're going to plug in power. We do that by opening this little hatch here. And you'll see you have a power port in. That's where your adapter comes into play. You can see there's a slot for the cable to go out the bottom. You want to plug this in with your cable going out the slot in the bottom, then close that back. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back around. I'm going to take the included power cord, plug it in here. And now plug our unit into wall power. Now the power button for the unit is on the back right here. I'm going to press that. You'll hear it start to fire up. You'll see when it raises to the up position, it raises the lid. So do not have anything on top of the lid, ever. Now our unit is in the up position. So, first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is back here is your tool compartment. It's got a scraper and a brush for cleaning off your cut blade. Now that the basket is up, you can remove the wash basin. Inside the wash basin is an impeller. This is a magnetically driven impeller, so the motor is down here in the base. Okay, now to pair the two devices together so that the FabWash can do its software updates, I'm going to have to connect my printer temporarily to a Wi-Fi network. Normally my printer is plugged in through a network cable, as I prefer a physical network cable for more reliable network access. So I'm going to press the gear icon. I'm going to go to network settings. I'm going to go to wireless networks. And I'm going to choose my in-office wireless network. You want to make sure you're using a wireless network that is not a protected guest network. You want to be using a network where devices on the wireless network are allowed to see and talk to each other, not just the internet. You want to type in your Wi-Fi password and allow it to connect to your wireless network. Now, if you have high confidence in your wireless network and you've had professionally installed access points and you know that your wireless network is designed so that all devices can talk to each other wirelessly, you are welcome to use all the Shining devices wirelessly. Now that we're connected to a wireless network, we are going to go back to the gear icon and hit About, and we're going to connect the Fabcure FabWash and then hit Connect FabWash. Now click Next. Okay, so we can see it's now asking us for Fab and then 4 entry points. We're going to get these 4 from the FabWash. We're going to scroll down on the FabWash and get to Settings. We're going to scroll down to Network Settings and press again. And then you can see My Fab. It says Fab-X1K9. So I'm going to put X1K9 in here. X 1 K 9. Enter. X1K9, and we're going to connect. And now you can see it says connected. Now over here, don't press OK there yet. You can see we are connecting. We're going to wait till this says connected before proceeding. It says succeed, and we're going to click yes. And over here, we're going to click OK. Now our printer is connected to our FabWash. Now we need to fill our wash basin up with isopropyl alcohol. Take this right out, set it here. There's convenient fill lines. I use 97% or 99% isopropyl alcohol. I usually put in 2 gallons, but the unit will hold about 2.5 gallons. There you go. Seat it in there. Once you have filled your tank with alcohol, as mine is filled, make sure to install the lid on the alcohol tank. This just helps keep the alcohol from sloshing up on some of the other mechanisms during operation. And then it should slide right back in here. When you're done with your FabWash, you can go to sleep mode and enter sleep mode Yes. And that'll close the whole unit. Okay, next phase. I need to set up the Fabcure. All right, let's unbox our Fabcure 2. It's going to replace my old Fabcure 1. Inside, you have your quick guide. Always open this first, as it has helpful unpacking and setup instructions. With your Shining products, I always recommend keeping your shipping materials in case the unit ever needs to be shipped back to the factory for repair or warranty work. You want to ship it back in its original shipping materials. We're going to unpack from the top down. This is going to be one of our rotating trays. Power cord. Move the top foam. Shining units are always shipped in extremely durable plastic. One of the benefits of this is if you're working by yourself, you can simply lift the unit out using this strong plastic bag. Work it free of the packing material, and then I return all the packing material back to the box, including the outer bag. All right, we have our Fabcure 2 out of the box. We have some more packing tape to remove. As you can see, we're all nice and empty on the inside. It's a simple unit. The power cord is included. The back of the unit has a location to plug in your power cord. Make sure it's seated firmly. You'll also notice, for future reference, see this insignia right here? That means there's a fuse inside. So if there's ever an issue where your unit will not power on and you've tested your outlet and your outlet's good, we may have blown this fuse. In which case, I suggest calling whoever sold the unit to you, and they can walk you through whether or not we should be replacing that fuse because it was faulty, or if we should look at what might be happening in the unit that could cause the fuse to blow. This tray just sets right inside. Just rotate it until it falls in place, and you're all set. Now we'll move on to connecting this to our Shining L4D and our FabWash unit. Pairing the Fabcure 2, like the FabWash, starts with your printer. We're going to go to settings. My printer is connected to a local network through a physical network cable. I don't generally use my wireless network for my printer. That being said, we need to temporarily connect it to the wireless network for the pairing process. So I'm going to click on the gear icon, click on network settings, click on Wireless Network and enable it. If you always use your printer connected to your wireless network, you will not have to do this step. I went back twice, and now I'm back at the original settings, and I'm going to click About. And then I'm going to click Connect Fabcure FabWash, and I'm going to choose to connect my Fabcure this time. I am connected to my wireless network, so I'm going to hit Next. And it's looking for a 4-digit entry off of my FabWash. We get that over here, off my Fabcure. My apologies. We're going to scroll down to Settings on the Fabcure, click Settings, scroll down, click Network Settings. Now, on our network settings, we see we're not connected, and it gives us the number. You'll notice the W looks a little funny because of their chosen font. Back over at your printer, press in the empty field, and we're going to enter that code. That code will be different for every Fabcure. Enter. It's entered it in there, W8J4, and I'm going to click Connect. Now, while it's connecting here, this should soon change to connecting. You see it now says connecting. We need to wait till it's done saying connecting and says it's connected before we press anything else. Those two beeps, and it says succeed. We click yes, walk back over to our printer, and click OK. Now that that unit is on my wireless network, I am going to return my printer to my wired network, as I like it to be wired. Over here, on a new unit, we're always going to, in the settings, scroll up to Update. All right, so the Fabcure 2 says there's no updates currently. I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to once again go to Update, and I'm going to check and see if there's any firmware updates available. All right, no updates need running. I'm just going to click back. And we're at the beginning. Now let's go ahead and set up a print. All right, so I need to set up to do a print. First thing I'm going to do is take the lid off my resin. Now this resin's been in here for a little bit, so I want to stir it significantly before its use. Whenever I'm preparing to stir resin before use, one of the first things I like to do is just have something with me that when I pull this out, I'm not dripping resin on my printer. You could use a stainless steel tray that you wash. I just like to use old magazines I'm going to throw away anyway. Now when you stir, make sure you stir all the way around the outside edges. Stir slowly so you don't slosh out of your printer. And then go back and forth in the middle. Making sure to squeegee the bottom. Make sure you get all the edges. And you want to stir for a little bit. Some resins don't separate as much as others, depending on what they have in them. Some resins have floating particles in them for strength, and they'll separate a lot, so you want to stir them very well. Unstirred resin is the leading cause of misprints. And second to that is having your print tray unbalanced, or your printing platform. So make sure this is stirred well. If you ever have a significant misprint, I always highly recommend pouring all the resin out of the tray using a stainless steel funnel back into its original container, cleaning your entire print tray, and inspecting the film at the bottom to make sure that it wasn't damaged by the misprint. Once the film at the bottom gets hazy or dinged up or too many dents are put in it, you can have a significant print failure. And sometimes a significant print failure can lead to a broken film, which will run resin all out and all over your printer. There we go, got quite a bit of stirring. Let this so I do not drip on the inside. We're gonna put in our new print platform that we recently leveled. Make sure it's seated properly and screw it up tight. Close this, close your lid, and you're ready to print. Okay, our 3D print is now complete. My advice before moving your print to the wash station is use this tool to remove the excess resin from the top of your build plate. This will save resin, and it will make your wash liquid, your alcohol, last longer. Always have a paper towel handy. If you drip resin anywhere on the printer, wipe it off immediately. Now, for the moving process, I like to just use the lid of the tray, because when I take this out of here, resin is going to drip from your printout. You don't want it dripping on your printer. Now, we seat this into the wash station. And you can see it locks in there tightly. Make sure it's all the way to the back as it is. And now, we're going to, I have it set to cut and wash, and I'm going to start my wash cycle. It's cutting right now. Now it's cleaning back off your build plate. Now what it's going to do is lower down in. Now we can remove our build plate, put it back in our printer. Should slide right out with no problem. Once again, use your lid in case it still has some resin on it. Now our prints are washed. You can actually lift this basket right out. And move over to your curing process. I like to break my models free from the supports before loading them into cure. I always clean down my wash station, although generally it doesn't get much on it. And inside, it's advised to clean the blade edge. You can also clean your blade edge by going to Settings, Blade Setting, Blade Clean. And what this will do is rotate the blade out for you so that you have access to it so you can clean it top and bottom. You don't want resin sitting on the blade. They include a small toothbrush for doing this, or a paper towel with some alcohol on it works quite well as well. And then just sit back. It'll return everything to where it's supposed to be. Now we're entering the curing phase. Make sure you're at your home screen. Open up the Fabcure 2. Place your models that are now washed in on the curing tray. In this case, I have around 70 small models I'm placing in here. I like them all to be separated and so they can get even access to the curing light. You don't want them touching each other. All right, we close the lid and we hit start. Now I'm using a non-shining resin because I'm doing some specialty parts right now. If I was using the shining resin, it would automatically select the correct time for me for my curing time. Right now it's got DM11 selected because that's the last shining resin I used with it. It'll cure and then the parts will be done. All right, our curing is complete. We can open this. You can just lift the whole tray out if that makes it easier, and pull out your cured parts. In this case, I'm printing a specialized component we use in some of our repair processes.